How we do this, we are the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of a podcast called Ghoulish, hosted by me, Max Booth, an undead host. Undead, you say? What could that mean? Undead only has like one build. I was once dead, now I'm not. Go back to episode 100 to find out how I died and how I was revived. But that's not really what I'm talking about in today's episode. Today's episode, doing some little promo for the movie I wrote. We Need to Do Something. It's out now on video on demand and also limited theaters. It's a movie about a family stuck in a bathroom and spooky shit happens. On today's episode, I'm talking to JP, the DP, Jean-Philippe Bernier. I deeply apologize if I just butchered your name, JP. I only ever called you JP on set. I've never tried to say your whole name out loud until now. Jean-Philippe Bernier. Oh, God. I don't think I'm doing that right. I apologize. If anyone interested, just read the name in the episode subscription. Maybe I said it right. Maybe I was close. I suck at saying names. That's something you'll grow to discover about me, Max Booth, is I can't say names. I almost just said Matt Bruth when I said my own name. I mean, it's nothing personal. But anyway, JP was indeed the DP, the director of photography, on We Need to Do Something. He is significantly responsible for how the movie looks and how it was shot. I wanted to get him on the podcast to kind of talk about how he got into the business and what exactly was involved with making We Need to Do Something look the way it looks. He got into all the nitty-gritty details, and I'm excited to share that with you. I hope you listen. I hope you learn something. You don't even need to go to film school anymore. You can just listen to my podcast because I'm just laying it all out for you. And you can pay me a tuition at patreon.com/PMM Publishing. It's not as expensive as college, but if I don't know. I don't know anything else. I've never gone to college, so I have nothing to compare it to. I've seen college movies, and if you support this on Patreon, it's not gonna be the same. There's gonna be no wacky hijinks. You're just gonna send me money, and then you might get some bonuses every month, like I don't know what I offer. A magazine, Junk Moon Digest. You can subscribe to that via Patreon. Patreon.com/PMM Publishing. But enough with that. Let's talk with JP, the DP, about shooting a spooky movie called We Need to Do Something. Out now. Go watch it. Oh, and also, just a heads up, we do spoil a bit about the movie during the conversation, so it would probably be in your best interest to watch the movie and then listen to this episode. I mean, think of these episodes I'm doing about the movie kind of like behind-the-scenes featurettes that you would sometimes find on like bonuses of DVDs. You wouldn't watch those before you saw the movie. It would be nonsense, because we do talk about things that spoil a bit of the plot. So go watch the movie, then come back to this. It's not going anywhere. So with the old job specifically, I think a lot of like the average movie watcher isn't completely sure what it involves exactly. So I'm hoping we could begin by kind of giving a breakdown of what it is you do. especially when it comes to a movie like We Need to Do Something, when it comes to the cinematography and the directorial photography stuff.
Yeah, as a cinematographer, I feel like my my job is specific, but it evolves and is tailored for every project. And it's always depending with the relationship with the director as well, how much output and how much space they give me to be creative or to be more like trying to create exactly what they have in mind. So overall, my job is to help the director or work with the director to create the image, the visual, all the visual of the movie and the story. Also, in teamwork with the production designers. So it means like lighting, camera angle, camera movement, decision even on the sets. Sometimes you work in pair with the production designer to make sure what she sees or he sees it fits with what I have in mind in terms of lighting, color, and the way I want to light it, so it fits all together. If that makes sense.
Completely, yeah. One of the biggest surprises for me when I was on set with We Need to Do Something is kind of realizing like just how much of a collaboration everything is with a film. I had no experience with movies whatsoever until I went down to Michigan, and one of the reasons why I'm doing these series of podcasts, like I had Shane on for an episode too, is I want people to realize just how important like every single role is when making a movie, and I don't think I fully comprehended just how much like a DP does with a movie until I was like watching you. I was like, oh shit, you almost kind of run this show when it comes to how this movie looks. I mean, DPs will just like should be held so much more in a great light when it comes to like the visual presentation of a movie. I don't think you that job gets that credit as often as it should. Does that ever feel like frustrating for you?
No, I mean, what I like the most about my job, it's like I feel like if the audience, like regular audience, because like there's two things, like there are film buff and film school people and people that work in the industry that really know what I'm doing and really appreciate my job. But the but we make movies for the general public, for everyone to love, right? And I feel like if a regular audience or somebody that is not really into like the behind the scene or how it's done and really just enjoy a story, I feel like I don't want them to notice me. I don't want them to see me. I need to be invisible. My job is to bring them along and bring them in specific places. If I want them to be scared, of to have fun, or to feel a little bit relaxed, so I can hit them with something a little bit more crazy right after this, like in this movie, I feel like I need to be invisible to them. So I feel like it's fine. I mean, I mean, it's always complex just to explain my job to like family members and people like that. They don't really know what I'm doing or understand. Like they like, oh, you're a cameraman. Yeah, kind of. But it's fine. I mean, at the end, I'm totally fine with it. Like I don't mind. I feel like we have like if you look at the industry, people really know what we're doing and really praised us. So I feel like it's totally fine.
Cool. Okay. I like the idea of being invisible. I think maybe, especially with a movie, that should be everybody's goal is for the movie to speak for itself, right? And like everyone else is just kind of hidden in the shadows behind the scenes. I like that. If you could, this might be a complicated way to break it down, but like, could you walk us through how you got involved in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not that complex. I mean, I've always been like a huge film geek since I was like a kid. Weirdly, I remember my first and further souvenir of me watching a movie was Evil Dead. So I was before I was going to school. It's weird. It was playing on the TV in the afternoon. I remember being sitting in front of it and just seeing that scene of the pencil going in through the ankle, and after that was everything was like in stop motion. But I was
Yes.
so young, like I was not going to school at that time, so I feel like I was too young to be scared, and I was just like confused and I didn't understand what I was watching. And this image stuck to me like since then. So I feel like that's Evil Dead's definitely probably the thing that triggered me into that route of also loving horror and wanted to work in the film industries, because I feel like indie movies, there's something accessible to it. Like the other movie, I'm always was wanted to work in film, but being like from north of Montreal in a French Canadian country who doesn't really like have like we have a film industry and TV industries, but it's quite far from everything else everywhere. It's more like drama and simple stuff. So I always feel like it was kind of not really achievable to work in the film industries. And I remember like stuff like Evil Dead, but also when I see the movie Clerks for the first time, I felt like that was the thing that triggered me in the 90s. I was like, oh, this is so good. But at the same time, I feel I can make something like that. Like it feels accessible. So for me, it's that's starting to like me of thinking about like maybe I can make this. And also my dad was doing a lot of like theater works as an actors and stuff like that, but more like on the weekend and at nights. Like it was not his job, it's just as a passion. So really like early, because I was interested to it, doing a little bit of acting in plays and stuff, like I started doing the sound for the play he was making and then a little bit of lighting. So I was kind of like having a foot in the door because of what my dad was doing, like more like amateur theater. And because he always wanted to be an actor, that was his dream, but his mom was not into like, this is not a career, you cannot do it. I feel like when I told him I wanted to work in film, he was just like, go, 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 go. Like we'll pay for your tuition and stuff like that, and just do it, try it.
Nice. That's so good. Awesome. That they will supportive. Like you always feel too many cases of like the parents not wanting the kid to go embrace the theater and the arts. So that's awesome that you had that experience.
Yeah, I feel like he was like we're not from him like, or my family didn't have a lot of money. It was like pretty normal small family from north of Quebec. So I feel like I don't know. Like I'm surprised that they. I mean, they're kids from the 70s. I mean, or they were teenagers in the 70s. So I feel like probably like they were into the a little bit more about like all that of like you can do whatever you want or you can try it. Like there's no like you just try it. If you can do it, you'll do something else. So it all started like that. And at some point I went to school, didn't really work out, bought a camera, then went back to another school that it's more like a technical that you have a 1 year program. And from that, I started working on movies as a camera loader straight up out of school. So that was I was a camera trainee and did 5 years of camera assistant as a film loader on big movies like 300, Spiderwick Chronicle, Death Race, and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Wow.
So to ramp it up really quick, but
Yeah.
yeah, so at that point, like it's just that's the normal stuff. But I feel like what actually started is everything before school, you know. And I
Right.
feel it's after school, because school for me was just one thing that was interesting. You kind of like see movies from a different angle,
Hmm.
but you're not a filmmaker, especially not with the school. The school here, they don't really know the industry.
Right.
So you meet people. That's the cool part of it. You meet people. Some people you continue working with, but yeah, I feel like it's more the process of why you want to do it.
At what point did you begin like becoming the DP, like solely the DP on movies? Like you began like being like helping out with movies like 300, but when did that transition happen?
When I went to film school, like the regular film school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a director, I think, and I didn't do that much camera. And then after that, didn't go to university, bought bought a camera, starting doing shorts or shorts, stuff like that, shooting a lot of like hardcore shows and punk music. And at some point I was just like, yeah, let's come back to my roots of like doing whatever sounds or lighting on plays in theater. And I just feel like more comfortable like behind the camera. And I feel like there's something so creative of just like, because I think it's the visual that always interested me. Like there was something technical about it that I love. As much as I love directing, I know I will direct at some point. But But yeah, so I feel like this is when I bought my camera, when I did everything, this is where I was like, I want to be a DP. Like that's what I want to do. And when I went back to this like 1 year intensive program that you get an internship at the end, like from the first day of that to the last, I knew I wanted to be a DP. So when people were wanted to be like when we were doing like project and we needed to be in teams, people that wanted to be with me didn't want it to be like a DP. They knew I wanted to do that. So I feel like from that point, it was clear. And my route of doing the camera assistant thing was for me the best way to go in the real industry, bigger movie, see how it's done and learn from it, being close to the DP, being as an assistant to them. So that's why I went there. But as soon as I was like into the actual film industries, I knew I wanted to do like DP. I didn't want it to do focus puller. Like I did loader, and I knew like when I stopped doing that, it's because I'm a DP.
At what when did you like meet up with Atlas and Shawn and all of that? Because I know like when they got you for We Need to Do Something, they had already worked with you with Dental Film America. Will the other movies besides that one, or do they find you with Dental Film America?
I feel like my relationship with Atlas really started because of Dinner in America, but that's a project I signed with an agent after summer of '84. And she told me when I signed with her in Sundance, she told me about this project Dinner in America. And I thought she was just like talking about a project or whatever, just to give me something because like she wanna works with me. And I knew her a little bit before that, so I trusted her, but I was like, yeah, maybe she's just like sending like titles around just to get me excited. And no, like she got me into an interview, and then I did the movie. And that movie was such a special project, working with Adam and in Detroit and with Atlas and everyone. I felt like it was almost like doing a movie with my boys like RKSS back home. It was like making a movie with friends. It felt indie, but like everything was passionate about it. We were actually making movies because we love it. So that project was super interesting. I met Shawn real quick when I was shooting it, but it was like we just say hi, like Adam introduced himself, and that's it. But when we did the color at Light Iron with Ian, Shawn was, I think, the guy who knew Ian. So he was there in LA with us, and he was in the grade with us. And when you're in the grading, for people that don't know, that is just like doing colors, the final color um, on the movie. This is where you kind of like move stuff around and create the final look of what we have in mind. And there's a lot of waiting, like you say stuff, but then the colorist do his thing. So most of the time you talk with the director, and Shawn was there, and we just starting talking about horror movies and ninja movies, and we kind of became friends because of that. Like we realized that we love a lot of the same stupid shit. So after that we continued talking, and at some point he wanted to do a short that didn't happen, and he sent me the script for We Need to Do Something, and everything happened so fast. But I did the interview, and we decided to work together on it.
Wow. I don't know if it's out yet. It might be out in the UK, but Dental in America, which I said wrong earlier. It's in America, not Phil America. Dental in America. It's such a great movie. I loved it. It felt like a movie that was the that will it felt like one of the movies I used to watch as a kid with my friends while like getting high in a basement, and like, yes, this is the movie I love. Like Suburbia or Repo Man. I mean, it felt like one of those movies, and I just love it. I encourage anyone listening to seek it out
Yeah,
immediately.
definitely. Yeah, it has a lot. Some, I mean, Adam, same thing. Me and Adam like love kind of the same stuff. Like they're weird or like punk movies, but also cheesy comedy from the '80s, like Perfect and stuff like that. So it's so weird that we both film shows. So making a movie about punk that is punk, and it's a rom-com, but it's an actual like punk movie, like that movie special. Yeah, definitely a lot of like Repo Man and Suburbia. Also a lot of Todd Solondz for me, like Welcome to the Dollhouse. All the like for me, that was my movie. I could do like a love letter to the '90s. The kind of movie I wanted, actually, the kind of movie that wanted me to make movies. accessible movies, like I said earlier. So that movie is really that.
This movie also has an original song in it that has been stuck in my head for months since I watched it. I keep telling Shawn to release the track. I wanna have it so I can always listen to it, but he does not respond to my emails.
I mean, I think they're waiting for the
Yeah,
the American release,
yeah,
Like people are scared of this movie. I feel like it was such a perfect social commentary, but also not a white knight kind of like movie. It says the real thing for the right reasons, but
yeah.
it's in your face, it's punk. So I feel like even if it's like on the right side of everything, because it's loud, people are scared of it. So I don't know. Nobody wants to. I mean, I don't
Ah,
know what's going on. I hope it's gonna be out like at some point because like this movie is special.
I'm confident it will find its audience. It
Oh
will
yeah,
come
for
it
sure.
will come out. Yeah, and but yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, it does have really at like a really like one dimension unlikable protagonist, but that's only if you don't really pay attention to the movie. It's like
Exactly.
at a basic level, it's like, these people suck. I don't want to watch this. But that if that's the type of mindset you have, maybe you shouldn't be watching movies. Maybe you should, I don't know, go watch NASCAR. Anyway, so you go from that movie. I don't know if there's any movies between this one and We Need to Do Something, but what is your reaction to getting a script that just takes place in a bathroom after like shooting a movie that takes place all over the town? That has to be like a dramatic difference, right?
I mean, especially that the movie I done just before that, like in 2019, was like a Dan Mazer who did Borat. Like it was like a classic comedy in the 80s, like two camera shooting, like more like a classic studio comedy movie
What
with the
movie is
indie vibe
that?
still. It's The Exchange. So it was just released, I think, a month ago, like end of July or something. So so yeah, cool little movie, super nice, but so different from I mean, the thing that connects for me from comedy and horror, it's like you use the camera to make people laugh or make them scared. So there's like, and there's a lot of stuff in the way, the technicality of it that's similar. But yeah, getting the script from We Need to Do Something, everything's in a bathroom. So when you think of that, it's like I think of my bathroom, and my bathroom in my apartment is really small. So I was like, okay. And I was like, what did I saw that was like that? So I was like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. Uh, the guy was buried alive. There's one in the I think 90s, but there's also one uh, like in the 2000 that was with I can't
Ryan
remember his name.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, is it something like that? And like but it's like a bigger bathroom. I also did like a web series that's called Exod, who's like a guy stuck in it's a sci-fi, and it's a guy stuck in a escape pod of a spaceship
Yeah.
that is big like a coffin. So I did that already. That was kind of like, it's a short form. So it was like a short web series. So it was, I think, 6 episodes of 10, a little bit less than 10 minutes. So I kind of like explore the idea of shooting in just one location and really small location and make it interesting. But that was something totally different because like there's so much stuff going on in this script,
Yeah.
like I don't want to spoil anything, but from people getting stuck in a bathroom to I don't know, there's surreal stuff going on.
We can talk about a few things. I mean, in the intro to all of these episodes, I'm gonna say, look, it's probably best if you've seen the movie, if you're listening to these. We won't give away the ending, but I mean, like, we will definitely talk about the snake scene in a minute because
Yeah,
we
exactly.
have to talk about how you
Yeah.
shot that. But before that, I mean, so you agree to do this movie. What are like the next steps for a DP? Like, what did you have to do to prepare for this movie? Do you need to decide like what cameras, what lenses? Do you need to come up with a shot list with Shawn? Like, what is going on? What's the plan?
So on this one specifically, and I mean a lot of the movie that I've done, I have the chance of working with directors that give me a lot of space and want to collaborate with it. So Shawn was definitely like one of the most fun director I've worked with as well. Like he gave me so much space, but he wanted to create something with me. And I think because we like kind of the same stuff, we were just like giving some back and forth. You have ideas that give me ideas and I get it back. So I feel like because we have this creative relationship, the way we approach this movie, it's like, yeah, at first I do my thing. I read the script. I do a breakdown of like different, like, is this day, is this night, I'm gonna approach lighting it, um, and what do I see in terms of like camera style? Is it NL? Is it more like dolly? Is it static shot? So I do a breakdown of all that at first, and then when I was like in Detroit, we started doing shot list meeting and creative meeting with Shawn. So we listened to a lot of doom metal, and we were just like doing this shot list. You start at the beginning of it and you just go through it. And I feel like the more you read and you kind of like decide the shots, the looks evolve and stuff like that. I mean, the first thing we did, and something that I like to do, it's kind of a rule book. So we create some rules. So
Okay.
like an example is like every time, I mean, a good example in this movie is like, and that's something that I asked Shawn, and I was surprised that he was into it a lot. It's like, for me, when I read it, there's a bunch of flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
So for me, reading your script, it didn't felt like flashback. I
Right.
don't like the term flashback.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks a little bit cheap. So for me, it was just actually, it was memories. It felt
Yes.
like, because she's stuck there and she's just think about it, it feels like it's memories and it's not flashback. You just see what she sees in her head. So for me, it's not like something in the edit. Oh, we took this scene and then you see it and you come back in time. No, it's actually what she remembers of what happened.
Right.
So I was like, how can I approach that? And I had like this lens that I was obsessed with for a long time that I've never used in a movie. That was like an old Canon rangefinder lens, like a photo lens. And that lens, it's a little bit technical for people, but the way it opened up so much to let so much light goes in, that the depth of field, or the zone that it's sharp and in focus, is extremely small, and everything else kind of like disappear in this blurry, beautiful way. So the fall off of the focus, it's like, it's just insane. So I was like, for me, that lens for a memory scene kind of work in the same way I remember stuff. For me, when I remember stuff, it's like I remember a specific thing in a room or an
Yeah.
interaction, but everything else around it is kind of a blur. It kind of disappear. Like, you don't remember. You're just always focused on small details. Everything else kind of disappear.
I love
So
that.
I showed like a bunch of pictures, because like nobody actually shoot movies with it. I sent like a small test that I saw on Vimeo of a guy. He did that with like his DSLR with his kid, and it has this memory effects, a little bit like sometimes people use Super 8 because it's like
Mhm.
it feels vintage, but that one feels exactly like when I remember stuff. And I was like, normally I send that to director and they're like, oh, it's cool, but it's way too loud and way too intense. And Shawn was like, straight up, that's amazing, let's do it. I
Yeah.
was like, okay. Okay. I was like, I had like a lot of lists of trying to like get him into it, and he was straight on. So I was like, okay, well, that was easy. So and he was like, yeah, let's rent it, let's bring that lens here because it's like actually rare as well.
What is the
So yeah,
lens called? Is it called is that the Dream Lens?
yeah, I mean, it's a Canon rangefinder lens from the, I think it's 61 that was
Okay.
released. uh, but because of the look it has this like um, name that people just like, people named it the Dream Lens. So if
Okay.
people look it up on Google and write Canon Dream Lens, they'll find it. And also, something that I didn't know back then, somebody else was shooting a movie with the same lenses just before us,
Oh
and
yeah.
it got released just before us.
What movie's
And
that?
it's shit, how's it called? It's the Netflix zombie movie.
Oh yeah, that fucking Snidel movie. Enemy of the Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, from Zach. And it's funny because I
Okay.
work with Zach. back
Oh,
in it. But
nice.
so Zach done it, and I know that it's like really polarized. Like people hate it or people love it.
Yeah.
But something I need to give to Zach, I like Zach. So
Yeah.
I mean I love some of his early work, and I think everything does
Yeah.
he has like a visual thing,
Yeah.
and I think it tries stuff, and I feel like he went for it for this one. Like maybe you won't like it,
I
but
haven't seen it
he
yet.
tried. I mean, he tried it. Like
Yeah.
it's so intense. Like because like I shot part of our movie in it with that lens, and it makes sense because it's like memories and stuff like that. He just use it in an action movie from the beginning to the end, wide open. It's wild. Like he was.
Wow.
That's something I don't think I would have the guts to do it. Like it's like so a lot of props for that, and I actually like the movie,
Yeah.
but like I mean I like that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's the only way people can see also a different, if people are interesting, I mean you can see the both way we use that lens. It's quite
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the scene specifically, like when they do the spell in Amy's bedroom. Like
Hmm.
thinking about it now, I realize, yeah, like everything else in the bedroom is kind of like not really focused. Like I can't tell you one detail about that bedroom besides the desk and the two bodies. Everything else is just gone from
The
my
tongue,
memory. Yeah.
yeah, and the tongue, I mean there's a
Yeah.
tongue.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly that. Like you feel like you get, even in the thing is like that lens give you that look even on a wide stuff. And the idea was for me just like normally when you shoot a movie you change lenses most of the time depending of you do a close up, a wide. But for me everything needed to be shot with that lens at the widest aperture of the lens to get that look. So if you want a wider, I need to walk back and get like further away. So that was the idea with those scenes. Is like everything needs to be shot with that lens, with that look.
And then you and I have never had this conversation about those scenes specifically, but it's so good that like you connected, like knowing these will not like traditional flashbacks, because in the book especially I wrote them not to be flashbacks but just to be like the past, the present, and the future all like colliding together in the bathrooms. Like she was living memories that had happened and haven't happened all while in the tub. And but that was really difficult to translate into a script because I'm mostly just a prose writer. So when it came time to do those into script film, I had a lot of trouble just like knowing how to translate that into simple text. So that's really awesome. Like you guys picked up on it and it was filmed in such a cool and interesting way. I love it. Those are like my favorite scenes, like especially the Phil's like bathtub scene with Amy, especially with like the neat editing that Shane did with it. So cool to me with the music and everything.
Mhm.
It's shot just like exactly how it was in my head, which is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, and we didn't think about it. I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't talk about it,
Yeah.
you and me. So I feel like it's. I mean, you wrote the book and the script, and I feel like when I don't know, like reading it, that came up to my mind. So I feel like it was probably there. Like I don't know, there's something you wrote that brought
Yeah.
me into what you saw at the end. And yeah, and another thing with all those scenes was NL. Like I wanted them to
Mhm.
be a little bit more floaty and just like I feels a little bit more like a memory as well to me. Like there's movement into it.
Right. Yeah. Um, Speaking of handheld, like the standard bathroom scenes will mostly not handheld until the I won't say what happens, but the scene, right? The big scene everyone seems to talk about. So what was the conversation like that with I assume it was you and Shawn talking it out, because I think he said something like he wanted the camera, or maybe you wanted the camera to be non-shaky, just on a tripod, maybe is that what you would say? It was on a
Yeah,
tripod?
I mean, I say studio mode. So like
Okay.
for me, it's like there's NL,
Hmm.
there's studio mode. Studio mode is more like cameras on a dolly,
Yes.
everything's perfectly moving, and there's some static shot. So that's
Okay.
kind of like the different way we approach this movie. But yeah, like that was one of the rules for us. It was just like if we go NL, we need to have a reason. One
Hmm.
of the reason was the memory scene, but also with that lens.
Yeah.
So that way it would be different from anything else from the NL. And for us, like there was like you said, a moment that everything in the script kind of fall down. Like everything goes loose at
Yeah.
that point in
It's
that
ki-
scene.
it's kind of the breaking down of reality, that scene. So
Hmm.
it makes sense that you would jump to like a handheld as hell breaks loose, basically. I thought that was pretty cool. What were the other rules that you guys came up with? No one's told me about these rules. I'm really interested.
I mean, I need to look into my notes, but like I feel like for the NL that was definitely that. So like the rules, like I said about the memory scene, and we wanted to be like the camera needs to move a certain way depending of what happens, what
Yeah.
happened, or what the actor is giving us. Like for me, it's a lot of it. Uh, it's coming from the actors or this or what the story bring the actors to do. So like in emotional stuff. So that was
Yeah.
one big rules about NL. So there was like when everything breaks, and it creates some dynamic and some craziness to it that surprise you as well. But most of people won't realize you switch from like sticks or
Yeah.
dolly to an NL like that. Like they don't realize, but they're gonna feel it. They won't see it. And so that was one of our rules. And we did it like, and after that scene, when everything calms down a little bit, we come back to a studio and some stuff that brings us back into the NL, then ramping up and ramping up and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
In a way, it kind of feels like a roller coaster, huh? Like the way
Yeah,
it
definitely.
jumps and stops and jumps and stops. What was the most difficult scene for you to shoot in this movie?
I don't know. I feel like everything was kind of like
It's a
everything.
bathroom.
I mean, yeah, it's a bathroom, and the biggest challenge, like it's a pretty big bathroom that fits with the house that we shot in.
Yeah.
So it's more a bigger bedroom that your normal bathroom that's help us, but it's still extremely small. And it was built in a stage that was also too small
Hmm.
on COVID rules. Like, so I feel like there was
Yeah.
multiple layer. I feel like we needed another crew that was filming us. You know, that was. I feel like I was the experiment as much as the movie on that one.
Dude,
But so
Shane and I had that conversation so many times that like we should have had like someone do a documentary about this, because this is not
me.
how movies are supposed to be made. It's really strange. But like, speaking of COVID precautions, how difficult was it for you specifically to do your job with like the mask on, the face shield? I mean, your job specifically is how the movie looks. Like, was that like fucking up the way you were seeing things being filmed at all?
I mean, I don't. I mean, you can use a face shield, or you can use like special glasses that like have protection. So I have like special glasses, so that way I can. It's the same thing as wearing my own glasses. And with the mask, I mean, I don't know. It's not that hard. I feel like it's fine. I mean, and especially on that one, for me, that was the first one I've done in COVID rule outside of Quebec or Canada, because like the rules are way stricter here,
Hmm.
but they don't necessarily make sense. Like they it's true. Like it's like actor cannot be without a mask closer to 6 feet for more than 15 minutes for the entire day. So it's like it makes no sense. Like because it's just because they say if you're exposed to it for more than 15 minutes, you have more chance of catching it. So all those rules are bullshit rules made out of statistics.
Yeah.
And you guys, and the way we need to do something. It was like testing. We got
Right.
so much testing, and so if something happened, you catch it right away. So actors feel safe. Everybody wears everything around the actors. I feel like everything was fine. I
Me
mean,
too.
it's sure. It's kind of like this. The worst part is like if you wear a white mask and you look at a monitor, you just see the mask in the reflection. But I had like a black mask, and at some point my gaffer was doing the same thing. And so I don't know. I feel like it's fine. I just the only thing is like you need more times. Good. You cannot go as fast as we used to go because you need to be really careful about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But besides that, like I mean, I'm fine. The fact that it was on a stage, everybody was living in an hotel that was sharing the same parking. I mean, at the end of the day, I almost feel like it helped the movie at some point, and it gave us in a mental state that kind of fit with the story.
Yeah.
So like I was stuck in an hotel for 2 months. Like those people are stuck in this bathroom for you don't know how long. Is it like one day? Is it like 6 months? Is it more than that? Like
Yeah.
so I feel like there was something in the process that definitely helped me out creatively. I'm sure like a lot of it came out from that.
Yeah.
So that was fine. And I feel like to come back to the biggest challenge of this movie, I think it was really the time. The fact that we didn't have a lot of time, but we shot everything in an order. And that's I can't remember if I've done that before. Shooting everything from the beginning to the end of a movie. And it was because there's like something's happening in the bathroom, and the bathroom like kind of evolved into the story. So I feel like that helped us out a lot. So it was hard, but it's yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think you did a great job of like showing off the bathroom in interesting ways throughout the movie because it's you just have the one room and it's really impressive how much you got out of that room. Like I'm thinking of the montage of them trying to break down the door, the way you shot that through the reflection. How the fuck did you come up with that idea? That was so cool.
I mean, at some point you're stuck there, so you kind of like need to find stuff or you see stuff
Yeah.
differently. But I mean, I talked. I mean, like the production designer, Amy was not there. She was working as well on something else in UK. But we discussed a lot, like because like the challenge with a bathroom is like how do you light it and how do you see the passage of time if you don't have any window, and if you have a window they're just gonna climb out, so it's like
Yeah.
so you need to talk with like she find those like super dense glass block that's impossible to break. So that give me like the opportunity to bring some daylight. And and like I talked about a mirror because I like mirror because like in a bedroom I feel like something that extend the bedroom a
Yeah.
little bit as well. So it's talking with the production designer, like how can we give us something interesting, same place like where you put the lights, so that way it can help me out because it's the same thing. Like even if it was on a stage, the stage was so small, it's not like we can take every walls that we wanted. We
Yeah.
have, I think, 3 walls that was possible to take out, like part of walls. So it was hard to find angles, but it's talking about that with production design and with Shane, and being just sitting in it. Like sometimes at the end of the day I was just staying there a little bit longer and just looking at it
Yeah.
and trying to find angles.
Like the bathroom in the book is written to be way smaller than what it is in the movie, and like I've heard that criticism from some people like who haven't even seen the movie yet, just like picture it's like, oh, this bathroom's way too big. But the thing that they don't realize is it's not that big once you have a family in it and also like a crew and cameras. It goes it gets small pretty fucking quick and really claustrophobic.
I mean, I had the same feeling. I remember reading it, I was like, it's gonna be such a small space. How can we make it interesting? And then I saw the 3D rendering of Amy, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is way too big. This is ridiculous. And then I
Yeah.
see the outlines with tapes on
Yeah.
the ground before they were building it, and I was like, this is way too small. That makes no sense. And then and then I saw some walled up, and I look with my camera and a lens, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is feels weird. It's too big. So
Yeah.
I feel like I went to this process, with Shawn as well. Like we were both like, this is too small, this is too big. And for me, what sold it to me, it's like when we went to the actual house that it's supposed to be in,
Yeah.
for when we shot the bathroom scene and stuff, I was like, oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like it fits perfectly. And it's a little bit of a clin d'oeil of it's like a little bit of like Shining in there, like as well, like in terms of design.
I
That makes
think
sense. Like if
the layout because I was involved in like the blueprints that Amy would send us out, like which one of these designs look great, and the one we chose was called The Shining. So I think
Yeah,
it is just the layout from the movie. If maybe I'm wrong, but I think it is.
I think
Um,
it's not. It's quite
no,
different.
is it
But
okay?
yeah, because there's steps. I can't remember. I mean, I've seen Shining so much, but colors
Yeah,
are different. I mean, there's definitely an homage there.
yeah,
Like
okay,
you can think that if you analyze, if you look, because I've looked a lot into the Shining um bathroom, but and it's quite different, just to give me some ideas as well, because I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movie of all
me
time,
too.
not just
Yeah,
horror. So and I didn't want it to like try to recreate it as well, because like it's
right.
impossible. That's just like a perfect movie. But it was definitely cool to play a little bit with the style of that movie there. But no, I mean it definitely adds some looks to it, but
Yeah,
it's not the same thing at all.
okay.
But
I'm glad we settled that because I obviously was
I
going
mean
on false
just the
info.
color.
Yeah.
The
Well,
color of the original
yeah,
is green, and we went
yeah,
exactly the complementary, like the other
yeah,
way. So
yeah,
it's like pink.
yeah. I didn't mean the color. I thought the layout
The
of it. Like,
layout.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like specifically the shot where he's like standing in the doorway and looking straight ahead at the tub. That's what has like reminded me of it a
Oh yeah,
lot.
there's
Yeah.
there's yeah, it's a big homage for sure.
And plus, love that scene where Pat Healy, he takes an axe and he breaks down the door and he sticks his head through and he says, "Heals Johnny." That's like, it's a bit on the nose, but I like it.
It still works. It's cool
uh,
because but he has kind of like is like jokes aside, he has a little bit of that like Jack
yeah.
Nicholson vibes at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it until after I wrote the book and the screenplay, but there is a lot of like shining vibes to it. I mean, it's a family stuck in one location. The dad is an alcoholic, and he kind of loses his fucking mind. I mean, those it's still playing in the same wavelengths, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like that's the thing. Sometimes it's in the back in your head.
Yeah.
When you love something so much, it's just there, and you kind of feel it on some of his stuff. But I mean, there's so many layers to this small movie as well. Like there's a lot of shit going on in that small bathroom.
Yeah,
Like you
those are.
said, the snake is a good example.
So I
Like
talked
to
to Dan Rebuild recently for an episode. I think his episode will come out after this one, actually. But we did talk about the scene where the snake comes into the bathroom, and I was hoping you could also talk a bit about it because it was really fucking strange. I remember, like, he was either like, I think he was in front of you or maybe behind you, trying to handle the puppet as you had the camera going in a circle. Walk us through this. It was nuts.
so my first at first my idea was like I wanted to do kind of a oneer from the entire scene. So there's just one shot and we see everything in one shot. And for me, there was something really scary about sometimes you see the snake, sometimes you don't see it. Like I actually like snakes. I mean, I know they can be dangerous. I want to touch it, but I'm not scared of snakes at all. But I extremely hate spiders. And I feel like there's one thing with spiders is like I'm fine if I see it. As soon as I don't see it, I'm losing my mind. I'm gonna burn this house down. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you're stuck in a place and there's a snake and you know this snake can kills you because of the venom, what's scary for the audience and also the characters is like you see it, then you don't see it, and you see the actors reacting and you don't know where the snake is, and then you see the snake, and it's just like playing with this idea for me that is scary. Then after that, there was like something with Shane being obsessed with the I can't remember the oboro snake, I think it's called, or the snake that bite his own tails. So the circle, just this idea of like a circle and times and stuff. So I was like, it can be cool if the camera's in the middle and we just do like a circular movement. So that was the first part of it that was like, I want to do this. Then I wanted to do it with like a camera robot that you can do. So it's like a robot arm that you put a camera on it and you can do like a specific shot, and then it records it and you hit play and you can do it over and over in different speed, and that way it's easy for VFX to stitch like different takes and create one take. And for me it was just like, oh, that's going to be great, so that way Dan will be able to puppeteer be in the shot and we'll just remove it. Like we'll be able to remove it Shane love Sean loves the ideas, and then we went into budgeting, and it was way too expensive. So I was like, you know what? I think I can do it. Just like if I put the camera on a specific kind of tripod, and I just do it myself
Yeah.
in the middle. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And I remember, and I will be like, Dan's gonna be by my side, puppeting everything. But it's all at that point, we're in prep and everything is concept. So in my head, everything was working perfectly, but I didn't see how we do the puppeteers and all that. And then we arrive on set and I try it. And first thing comes to mind is like, this shit don't work. There's no way it's gonna work. And I remember everybody's a little bit like feels a little bit weird. I think like everybody knows that it's maybe it's not gonna work, but I'm like, I need to like if it's gonna work, like I need to play it like I'm fine. And I look at Shawn and I see his face and he's like, fuck, it's not gonna work. So we both know, but we both like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be fine. Well, let's try it again. And then we do a second rehearsal and then a third rehearsal. I'm like, oh no, okay. I think that's the way so instead of like doing just those 360, I do some back and forward. And I'm like, in the edit, they can cut it out. And I can do like one pass with a wider lens and one pass with a tighter lens. And I feel like the idea that I had at first, that's this circular movement, always in movement, and seeing the snake, not seeing it, that still works. You lose the water, that's just a trick thing that who cares about. And at the end, that was the perfect scene. And I feel like if we started to actually shoot it like it's an action movies or something, there's no way in their schedule we can do that. We had like a little bit less than a day to shoot everything from that scene. And there's a lot that's happening on paper and with puppeteers and stuff. So we went for like a more like a ghetto indie version of the robot. So it's like me with the camera in the middle and Dan is just like walking around as I turn the camera, and when I switch side, it start going in the other way, and it's just like going under the camera, and just like sometimes at some point I think I stepped on him. It was just like such, I mean, it was all like, if you see the movie, you'll see like when you see the movie, you'll see as it's so chaotic in that scene, but it was even worse on the other side of the camera. It was a lot.
I remember at one point he like during a cut, he was like, guys, I have an option to make the tail rattle if you would want that. And like everybody on set said yes at the same time. Like, we would definitely want to see that. Like why wouldn't that have been talked about a long time ago? Yeah, we would love to see a rattlesnake rattle its tail. That would be the most awesome thing to get on camera. But yeah,
I mean, it was hard to shoot, but it was so much. I mean, it's maybe like because I'm from the 80s and stuff, but it was so cool to actually have like a physical snake. Yeah, practical effect with Dan. It was just, and it was everything that I've worked with him. It was like super fun. I mean, Aobi says the same thing. Yeah, but like I loved working with him. Like, it was like, for me, it's just like, it's way more interesting to frame something than just framing anything that they're gonna have in VFX and lighting. So you light something and he's by my side, and we just like do it as a team trying to make this snake alive. But like my fun fact, like my second AC, like my second assistant camera who's doing the slate and identification and help us out, was extremely afraid of snake. I don't know if you remember that. So
was it built?
The what?
Was it Rick? Who was it?
No. Rick. So Rick is the first AC.
Okay.
The second AC is like the guy who actually do the slate, bring the lenses and everything. So what happened is just like he had something that happened like in his life when he was early that gave him like he had like an episode with a snake. So he has like a lot of reason to be afraid of it. But what was scary, like that snake looked so real, he was not able to come on set. Every time we were shooting with the snake, somebody else was like somebody from art or some like random people was just coming in front of the camera with the clapper, because like he was not able to do it, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's so that snake felt really real. Like I remember like shooting, like there's like one scene I follow the snake. The snake is like just like going for somebody, and I'm following it NL, and somebody like shot like a behind the scene video and he sent it to me. I think it was my gaffer, and I
Yeah.
sent it to my girlfriend, and her reaction was like to my text was like, hell no, fuck this. And I'm like, this is not a real snake. She's like, oh, what? And you see Dan in the shot, you see
Yeah.
me, and you see Dan doing the puppeteer, and she didn't notice Dan with the rods,
Yeah.
because the way the snake was moving was so real. She just thought it was a real snake,
Yeah.
even if you see the guy.
Like even in the cuts we watched before they went in and like took out the rods, the scene is super effective. Even if you see the rods, the snake is just spooky as hell.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we saw. I think we went in the first edit that Shane did. Like when we were there, um, it was just like we saw. I didn't notice we saw Dan in the shot. Like
Yeah.
there was one of the edit. Dan was there. They need to remove it, but it was in the shot. I didn't notice it because I just look at that snake. You know,
Man,
so
how
yeah.
scary would that be? Like in the actual final cut of the movie, you just see this big dude in the bathroom for like a second, then he's gone. Should have left it in.
I mean, it would be kind of a. It almost feels like a Twin Peak reference with the guy who's I
Yeah.
think was like a set dresser or something, and he just used it,
Yeah.
like the guy behind the bed. But yeah,
Oh man. Well, I think that's pretty much covers the episode. I think, unless there was anything else specifically you wanted to bring up about the movie.
no, I don't think so. I think it was. I mean, to close on it, I feel like I loved it. I mean, as much this experience was hard, I feel like it was such a cool thing to do, and I feel like everyone in Detroit was like that was my second time in Detroit, and I loved working there with my crew, and I think working with Atlas and doing something. I think something what's really special with this movie is like also having. I need to give props to Shane, the editor, who was there um, with us the entire time from prep to the entire movie shooting. You know, he was upstairs like in the studio just doing the edit, and when we were done filming, just going into the room and seeing cuts from what we had like on a big
Yeah.
screen. Like I've never done that before, and I feel like Shane was such a part of the style as well of the visual, because I was like often like asking him, like, because he's editing it, he's gonna work with my image, and sometimes they use stuff that you don't want them to use or what stuff like that. So it was cool being able to work with him and always do some back and forward. Sometimes I told him, can you come down and look at what I'm doing just to make sure it cuts with what we discussed, and he was at my monitor looking at it with you. So
Yeah.
that was really like also like it felt like making his movie with friends again, you know, like a little bit more indie vibe all together at one place. So
Yeah.
that was a special one.
Hell yeah. And for those listening interested in hearing more about the editing process, the episode after this one will be an episode with Shane. So buckle up and stay tuned for that. It's a fun conversation.
Nice.
JP, do you have anything you would like to plug besides the movie we've been talking about? I know you have a band. I know you do other movies. Anything going on you want to talk about?
I mean, at this point, the only thing that's coming, I mean, there's the exchange if somebody's interesting, but I feel like if you want to see a little bit more of that world of horror and stuff, definitely first watch Dinner in America if you can, if you have a VPN and you can rent it from Arrow, for sure. Or if you want to see a little bit more of where I'm from, I did this movie called Turbo Kid and Summer of '84, who also did the music for those two movies. So that's definitely kind of like my roots and from where I started making movies. So yeah, that's about it.
And that was JP talking about shooting spooky movies. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you go check out the movie We Need to Do Something. It's available now to rent on video on demand, Amazon, iTunes, Apple TV, Vudu, YouTube, all the places. Go pick it up, give it a shot. I hope you like it. The book is also available. Buy a signed copy at perpetualpublishing.com and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/PMMpublishing. Leave a review of the podcast on iTunes. Let's increase those reviews. We don't have that many. I want to see triple digits someday. That'd be great. Until then, I don't know. Have a spooky day.
Live spooky, die spooky.
Rest in peace, Max.